Night.
When I was over there, we didn't ask what kind of marital problems are you guys having? Why are you guys wanting to separate?
Mainly because, like, when we were apart for, let's see, she was in North Carolina for 5 weeks.
Is that North Carolina?
It just felt like, yeah, she went to North Carolina for 5 weeks, and
Okay.
I went down there for the last week, so 6 weeks altogether. And it was mainly just a disconnect. Like, we just fell out of love with each other. It was like once we got back, like once we were together again on that last week, it just never felt the same. And we talked about it while we were there, and it just felt that disconnect, and I just didn't feel like we were in love anymore.
Okay. Had you had any marital problems before that?
Not really. I mean, the main thing is, like, I could never really be myself, and like I felt like, I could never just be who I was, like, before I met her, like, and she could never see me. And I feel like I'm talking to like a psychiatrist about this right now, but like we just had that disconnect. Like, once I saw her again, it was just like it wasn't there anymore.
Okay. And it's going to be a hard question to answer, but is she seeing anyone else that you're aware of?
I mean, I'm not going to say no, because, I mean, it's totally possible.
Okay. Are you seeing anyone else that she isn't aware of?
No, I've not done that.
Okay.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. So we're in a strange place, a strange terra firma with the Watts case, where reality seems to be shifting in front of our eyes. The walls and the dimensions around us seem to be kind of moving and bending in ways that are kind of strange. And so one of the manifestations of this shape-shifting narrative is this story about the question about the paternity of the child, Niko Lee Watts. Now, I'm going to talk about this from two perspectives. I'm going to talk about it from the sort of lunacy in terms of the prosecution case. I'm not saying the prosecution case is lunacy. I'm saying trying to take it on with this argument is lunacy. And then from the perspective of the defense case. So if you think about it, the issue of the paternity did come up, where certainly with Nicole Kessinger, where according to Kessinger, I'm not sure if Chris Watts said the same thing, but basically said when she found out that Shan'ann was pregnant, he said, well, it's not mine. Now, I'm quite certain that is the case, meaning I'm quite certain that at some point Nicole Kessinger did find out Shan'ann was pregnant, and I'm quite certain that he told her, well, it's not mine. I don't think that happened when we've been led to believe it happened. I think there's a good chance it happened during the sort of 5-week period that Shan'ann was away. And that may have led to some of the dramatic encounters. For example, was it the 12th or the 14th of July? Anyway, I think it's the 12th of July, where Watt said something about it. He needed to talk Kessinger off talk her off the edge kind of thing. And, he spoke about her coming to his home. I called it Dietergate. And she apparently said something like, why would you want to leave all this? I think that's the tip of the iceberg. I think what also happened was either Kessinger saw pictures of Shan'ann pregnant in the house, hanging on the wall, or she saw baby clothes in the house, or it was that in combination with seeing something on Facebook or whatever. And you can imagine in a situation like that, any situation where you are in love with somebody and then a third party is pregnant from your perspective as the mistress. Obviously, from the perspective of the Watts family, Kissinger was the third party, and she didn't want to be third, she wanted to be first, right? But it's kind of just an absurd thing, because who else would be the father of the child besides Chris Watts? You know, who was with Shan'ann at the time of conception, right? That's one of the best ways to find out. So anyway, that's just one side of the story. The other side of the story is from the defense case. It obviously makes total sense, instead of the focus being on Chris Watts being this philanderer, Chris Watts being the cheater, it is actually Shan'ann who is philandering. Shan'ann was cheating on him, and he, almost like a victim, went into Kissinger's arms because Shan'ann stopped loving him. Shan'ann stopped sleeping with him, or whatever. So in other words, Shan'ann is the perpetrator here in the defense scenario. And not only that, Shan'ann becomes pregnant with another guy's child. What's poor Watts got to do with that situation? I'm just saying that is the defense story. Now, it's quite a strong story if it's true. The problem is it's really easy to prove that it's not true. And how do you do that? Well, with a DNA analysis. I don't know whether that was done at the autopsy level, and I don't know whether it was done sort of during the whole ultrasound process. I don't know when it was done. What I do know, and I'll put a link in the description, is that when Shanann's family appeared on Dr. Phil, one of the first things that he said to them was that something about that he has seen the medical examiner's report and that it shows that Chris is the father. Now, I don't know whether this other channel that has brought this up are playing with semantics by kind of saying, yeah, not Chris Watts, another Chris. Because are you telling me that Dr. Phil mentioning this, if it was another Chris, wouldn't kind of say, well, no, you misunderstand me, not Chris Watts, another Chris. And conversely, if Shanann's family knew that there was another Chris involved, do you think they wouldn't say anything? Anyway, the point being, according to Dr. Phil, and you can actually watch the clip on the blog post that's in the description. You can watch it, listen to it. I just don't want to play the audio here because it'll probably cause a problem. But you can go to the blog post and listen to it yourself. And he basically starts talking to them, and the first thing he says is that he has seen the medical examiner's report. Now, that's something we haven't seen. That's something that is not part of the discovery. And it's not really a big deal because it's proving something we knew anyway. I think there's another dimension to the whole thing as well, which is if you take it hypothetically and you say Shan'ann was cheating on Chris, Shan'ann was pregnant with another man's child, right? If you take all of that and you say, yeah, no, I think that is not only possible, but it's really very likely. Then you've also got to say, oh, was Shan'ann deleting her texts? Why would Shan'ann then have cared whether Chris Watts communicated with her or not? Why would Shan'ann want the marriage to go ahead? Also, why would she be so sad that Chris didn't want to kind of go with her to the ultrasound? And, why would she name her own child? And this is in her own text. Niko Lee Watts. Lee is Chris Watts' middle name. Why would she name it after not the father? Why would she be fighting for her marriage if she was cheating on him? I mean, what I'm saying is apply the same psychology that Chris Watts had, who's cheating on his wife, with a potential scenario, which I don't believe, but a potential scenario, a possible scenario where Shan'ann's cheating but she still wants to stay married. Why would you cheat on someone and be pregnant with someone else and then also still want to stay married to the other person? Especially if that other person is also cheating. It just really doesn't pass the smell test. Now, I'm only doing this because this is a true crime channel. And it's quite important just to think kind of in an experimental way. I'm only doing this in order to kind of satisfy that dimension. But there is a kind of a scenario in true crime where a woman murdered her children in order to facilitate a relationship with another man, and that person was Diane Downs. Now, she wasn't pregnant, but she was kind of in a situation where she seemed to feel that her children were in the way of her having a relationship. Let's listen to her lying about what she did to her children.
When I close my eyes, I can see Christy reaching her hand out to me while I'm driving, and the blood just keep coming out of her mouth. And that, maybe it'll fade too with time, but I don't think so. That haunts me the most.
So obviously what you can't see in the video clip is Diane Downs' demeanor, and you don't see her smiling at the end of it when she's talking about her children bleeding. But the point that I'm just trying to make here is there is a criminal psychology motive for a woman. I'm not saying it is exclusively a man who would do this, because here is an example of a woman who would kill her children in order to be with somebody else. So I'm just saying that is there's a precedent for that in true crime. But in terms of the Watts case, there's no evidence that Shan'ann was seeing somebody else. There are certainly not any texts anywhere to show that. There's nothing kind of on Facebook, and the other thing is, she was in North Carolina with her children, and with her family. So when was she going to be doing whatever she's going to be doing? I think the reason why this is coming up now is to generate a kind of counter narrative. It's to sort of get rumors going, tongues wagging and all that kind of thing. And I think that may happen until someone produces this medical report that Dr. Phil has seen. Now, I don't know whether it's being held back because of HIPAA laws. Do you know what I mean? Those health-related privacy laws. Sorry, that's my dog. Okay, sorted out. So anyway, so it might be a situation where we may not be, we are not going to get access to those documents, and because of that, you can kind of play with the unknown, if you know what I mean. You can kind of play it the other way, to say, well, what you don't know is actually this big turning point thing. And I don't think it is. Just a final thing to point out is, and this is also very clear from the phone data review, is Shan'ann was sort of very eager and interested in having sex with her husband. When he arrived in North Carolina, she wanted him to touch her, kiss her, etc. And the same when they arrived back in Colorado. and again, if she was actually seeing somebody else or involved in someone else, she wouldn't really behave like that. Whereas for him, he was so interested in somebody else that he actually wasn't interested at all in sex with Shan'ann. And I've heard some interesting comments where, certain ladies seem to sort of think that, well, if sex was on the cards, didn't really matter who it was from, that he would do it. But that is, I think, not appreciating to what extent he was really attracted to Kissinger and really interested in her, and kind of to the point that I think he was almost turned off or put off or no longer attracted to his own wife. And so if you think of it from a third-party perspective, in other words, not Chris Watts' perspective and not Shan'ann's perspective, someone like Kissinger's perspective or our perspective or someone on a jury's perspective, and you say, well, what is the paternity of the unborn child? If you say it was Chris Watts' child and then he murders his wife, that's far more diabolical. I mean, it's diabolical as it is, but far more diabolical than if the child wasn't his and his wife had been reckless in some way, in terms of her behavior or something. Then it starts to sketch a different kind of picture. I'm not saying it's true, I'm just saying that is the narrative that has been created. So if you're a third party, especially someone like Nicole Kissinger, in a situation where you've now found out that Chris Watts' wife is pregnant, if you then also find out that she's pregnant by another man, that is actually going to be something she might want to hear. It might be almost like music to her ears. Oh, so it actually means this marriage is over anyway. Oh, things are actually moving in that direction anyway. Oh, this relationship's kind of on the rocks anyway. But think about what I've just said there. It's what she would want to hear, right? And isn't that exactly what Watts did? Is he told her what she wanted to hear? In other words, it's a brilliant, not really brilliant, but it's a defense case that supports his situation, because think about the alternative. What is worse than that, or what's a lot worse than that, is it's Chris Watts' own idea to have the child. Then he meets someone, changes his mind, and then decides to murder the child. That's certainly not going to endear him to any mistress, right? Anyway, for those interested, I've already posted the first 2 chapters of Post-Truth on Patreon. It's available on the $10 tier. It really deals with the unwinding, unraveling, shape-shifting narrative that is where we are right now. Just dealing with some of the newest information and trying to see how we can interpret it. And there is quite a kind of a shocking twist at the end of the story. So far, 2 chapters have been uploaded onto Patreon. 1 chapter is uploaded every single day. So for the next 3 weeks, people on Patreon/TCRS can enjoy the 12th and final book in the series that I've written. There are 9 books in the Two-Face series and 3 books in the Silver Fox trilogy, and Post-Truth is the final one. So far, the feedback on Patreon has been really good. People have just been saying, wow, you nailed it with the beginning. I'm already hooked. Can't wait for the next chapter and so on. So I'm pretty pleased to hear that. I just want to thank those who have subscribed recently to this channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do like, share, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time.